Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are taking a look at a ship that has been through one absolute hell of a journey in this game. A ship that I quite like, despite it not exactly being the best of the best for the modern high tier meta. Yet she still has a very solid spot in competitive modes, especially modes like ranked and brawls. And that is the tier 9 large German cruiser, the Agir. So the Agir is no stranger to this channel. She's been in more than a few top 5 videos, but it's been several years since she's had her own standalone video here on the channel. And that's something that I like to do. I like to go through, every couple of years, talk about how ships are doing in today's meta, because obviously, if you're new here, the game changes a lot over each year with changes that the devs make, like we've had, the commander rework, we've had some Marines get added in, support CVs, so then that's just talk about what's happened in the last couple of years, right? So ships definitely age differently in this game. And the Agir, again, we've talked about her more than a few top 5 videos. It's a very interesting ship, because this ship was originally a secondary cruiser, which makes total sense when you look at her secondary guns. She has the German 128mm guns. She gets a very nice number of them on her decks, which means that, well, yeah, you would think, hey, we could totally build into these secondary guns and have some good fun. I mean, she has 18 128mm guns. That is excellent, and they do get the German HE pins, that very nice pin ratio that the Germans get to enjoy, which means that the 128 can overmatch, well, pin 32mm of armor. They're not AP rounds. They can pin 32mm of armor, which is, of course, the last major threshold in the game, which makes the Agir, again, on paper, at least from what I've told you so far, a pretty solid secondary cruiser. And you used to be able to, well, make that happen during testing. And, well, she was a little too good at that. And Wargaming said, nope, can't do that. They nerfed her secondary range down to 5.3 kilometers instead of the base 7.6 kilometers. And, well, that was that. And they also nerfed the accuracy as well. She used to have the good accuracy on her secondary guns. But, nope, can't have that no more. So they nerfed the range, nerfed the accuracy. You could still build into them, but they wouldn't really hit much. The Siegfried, on the other hand, my beloved Siegfried, her secondaries were left unmolested, although she has less than the Agir. So, very sad there. So, after Wargaming decided that you can't have fun with the Agir, besides building to the main battery guns, which you can and still should do, she was released for a whopping 1 million free XP. That's right, this ship's so old, she was a free XP ship, when she was released in update 9.5. Keep in mind, 9.5. And we're getting close to update 14.0 right now, right? So anyway, she was a free XP ship. She was released way back in the day. And then she was eventually transferred over to the Armory for 228,000 coal, when Wargaming took free XP ships out in the back and shot them, right? So she's a coal ship, still available as a coal ship. Definitely a ship that you want to build into the main battery guns, because her guns are actually fairly nice for what they are. You get 9 305mm German guns with 2.05 Sigma, which is fairly decent-ish as far as Sigma goes, right? And you get 9 of them with a German AP with the high AP alpha damage, the good arcs, and the fast velocities, which means that these guns are pretty comfortable to shoot at medium range. Longer ranges, not so much, because she does have 2.05 Sigma, but the dispersion is still not overly fantastic. So at longer ranges, the AP, it might hit, but it's probably not going to hit. But from close ranges with those flat arcs, those AP shells are going right into the side armor of your target, pinning, doing large amounts of damage, again, thanks to the German AP alpha damage. And yeah, she's great at close range. Add on to the fact that she has turtle back armor and the good old German 6-kilometer torpedoes, this ship is an absolute beast at close range. And you might be, seeing where I'm getting at here. The higher tier meta is not very close ranged at all in randoms at the moment. So, for example, when I took her out just to get some footage for the background for you guys, oh my god, this ship is little rough to play in today's meta. So many of the matches that I found myself in, one or two scenarios happened. One, the conditions were not present for brawling to occur. I kept getting open maps, like Tears of the Cruisers, right? Tears of the Desert, it's called Tears of the Cruisers for those of you that don't know. I even round up with Ocean once because, of course, when I'm trying to play a ship that's better at close range, I get friggin' Ocean, right? Two, well, the teams just didn't feel like playing, it seemed, and by the 5-minute mark, most of one team's dead. Looks like the game's over, and now I gotta go try and chase down the damage, right? And obviously, when one team, absolutely walks the other team by the 5-minute mark, you aren't going to get too many shells in when you have, a cruiser that's made for more close-range action. So that was unfortunate. But thankfully, we did get the match in the background that was much more conducive to brawling, and fun was had, thank God. As you can see, when this ship can get in close, oh yeah, she can and she will put in work. Now, of course, because it's an old ship that's kind of okay, there are some drawbacks that Wargaming hasn't really improved upon in today's World of Warships, mainly the ASW range. For some reason, it's stuck at 6 kilometers. A Tier 9 ship with 6 kilometer ASW. Why? Why Wargaming? Why are we tortured so? I mean, it's so sad, so many, well, all the submarines, they can ping you well outside of that, and you literally can't do anything, because of course not. Well, right? It's so frustrating. I don't know why Wargaming hasn't bumped it up yet. It's not like the Musashi, which is a real powerhouse of a battleship, right? It's just so miserable for some reason, so that is unfortunate. Thankfully, she does have hydroacoustic search to help counter submarines with obviously being able to spot the torpedoes, and if you are within your hydro range of a submarine, you can keep them spotted with the hydro, which is very nice. So that is lovely. She's also fairly maneuverable as well, which of course helps her with the close quarters action and such, because if you can of course bait the enemy ships to shoot your belt armor when it's angled, it's just going to bounce and do absolutely nothing, like you'll see me do with Minnesota later on in this match. So when you can get into those brawling situations, she's actually a really solid cruiser. A lot of times, some other players don't really share the same enthusiasm that I do for the Agir. Obviously, I'm more of a close-in brawling type of player, so that's understandable from there. But I think a lot of it too is that the Alaska has warped our perception of what a Tier 9 large cruiser should be, because the Alaska is insanely good, and obviously right now you can pick up the Alaska B in the Black Friday event, so understandably so a lot of players are picking her up instead of the Agir. But I mean, the Agir you can get for free. The Alaska you gotta wait till November to pay outright cash for it. But either way, I still think she's a really solid ship when you can get into the situations that allow her to brawl. But she, of course, has her flaws, like most other ships in the game. Her HE, it's that absolutely painful, anemic German HE. Her 305mm HE shells are just so terrible. It's so terrible. Yeah, they can pin a lot because, again, you get the improved German HE pin, but my god, the alpha is just miserable. So when you are in those, long-range matches where, most other cruisers, and large cruisers included, would just load their HE, you can do it, but it's just so pitiful the amount of damage you're going to be getting in return. So I highly recommend just stick with the AP on the Agir. Unless your only option is to shoot some angled battleship that you cannot pin with your AP, keep the AP loaded. Yes, even when dealing with cruisers, with destroyers. Why? Because the overpin damage from your AP shells, especially if you have the heavy AP skill, it's going to do more damage than the pin damage from your HE shells. Yes, the HE is that bad, and yes, the AP is that good. That armor, just like German battleships, that turtleback armor is great for close range engagements. But my god, you're going to eat crap at long range. So you definitely cannot show any side at range, because if you get hit with large caliber AP, it is pinning, and it's probably taking like a third of your HP with you from your average, Tier 10 battleship salvo. If you run across a super battleship, please do not show them any skin at all, because they will remove like half of your HP. again, the range, not the range. Well, the range is kind of short of the main battery guns. 18.8, 18.5 kilometers with a wheeled module that I was running on my build. Yes, you can take the range module and get it out a little bit further, but like I mentioned earlier, the accuracy on the guns isn't really there at range. So my recommendation to you, if anything, if you know you don't even have any type of will or drive to get this thing for random battles, yeah, I can't blame you, because yeah, it's not really a overly fantastic random battles cruiser, but it's a pretty dang good ranked battle cruiser, because ranked battles, like we discussed here on the channel, smaller format, more aggressive. You need a tanky ship to be able to get in there, put in the work, and survive. The Agir is a ship that can do that. Keep in mind too, again, ranked battle, smaller format, less ships. Yeah, it's a great ship for those modes. Brawls too, it's a fantastic ship for brawls. I mean, if Brawls is at tier 9, Agir is more than likely going to show up in most of your matches next to, like, you know, the Pommern, right? So she's a fantastic ship for that, and I feel like she kind of just gets overlooked because she's not the perfect meta ship. I mean, she can work in random battles. You just have to, you know, accept the fact that you're not going to be leading the scoreboard every single time you take the Agir out. She has a place, and it can work when things go well. And if you are a, you know, good enough brawling type player, you can definitely make her work in today's World of Warships. But I think there's too much of a focus on chasing the meta and everyone to play like Azuma and Yoshino at higher tier when it comes to large cruisers, because you can just sit back and farm and they don't really care because that's their meta, right? But Agir's a good fun cruiser in my humble opinion. And again, it's a free ship. You get it for coal, right? Again, I think it's well worth picking up for coal just so you have a really solid ship for ranked battles or brawls whenever they come around, in addition to something like the Pommern as well, which is also a free ship for coal. So while the years haven't been overly kind to the Agir, and she's been through a bit of a journey with all the changes she's been through, I mean, the ship, when she was introduced, she had the cruiser burn time, right? And then the commander rework happened, and that went away. Now she has the battleship burn time on top of seeing now, no, she was released after the first CV rework, but you know, she was released before submarines were a thing. She's seen submarines, seen support CVs come back, seen all this craziness happen in the game, and the fact that she's still, you know, pretty viable and ranked at least, and okay in randoms, I think that says a lot about the ship overall, right? So many other ships that were released around this time are just not good, downright not good anymore in today's World of Warships. But the Agir still managed to hang in there throughout the years, so I think it's a pretty alright ship for that right there. So guys, let me know what you guys think about the Agir in the comments down below. Do you have her? What's your 2 cents on her? Do you agree with me, disagree with me? Let me know all that jazz in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday and wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.